Welcome to the Veterans Prosper Podcast, where we help warriors transform their lives from service to success. Coming to you weekly from the last remaining fortress of freedom, Prosper, Texas. Here's your host, MedHawk24.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 2 of the Veterans Prosper Podcast. My name is Mark, call sign MedHawk24. And I'm so excited to get to introduce you to 4 people that I interviewed this week at the Western Washington Sheet Metal JATC. That's a training center for union employees to learn how to become sheet metal workers. And wait until you hear about the benefits and the pay scale for these people getting out of the military and transitioning into union jobs. Not only that, not only are the benefits fantastic, but they find a new sense of purpose and camaraderie, which is often what veterans struggle with as they get out of the military and struggle to transition to civilian life. I am so excited for you to hear this interview. Stay tuned, because here we go. Okay, so Jeff, thanks for having me out today. Tell me about the sheet metal program. What are you guys doing here at the training center?
So at the training center, we're training apprentices for the sheet metal industry. We're taking anybody that either walks in off the street through our application process. They don't have to have any skills other than to be able to show up on time, work hard, take good direction, and training them how to work in whether it be the construction trade, the service trade for servicing heating, air conditioning systems. It could be air balancing, basically commissioning a building. Making sure a building is functioning as an engineer designed it, or doing building information modeling. So it could be taking a drawing that an engineer dreamt up, came up with, and taking that, extruding it into a 3D model and overlaying other trades work on top of that to look for collisions to try and help the building process be smoother. We have a 5-year program that takes people that may know hardly anything, just have a good work ethic, and teach them how to be a journeyman within that 5-year period. We have a few different tracks. One of the ones that we have here, it's what we call our Smart Heroes program. It's set up for anybody that is transitioning out of the military. If they're within 6 months of a transition, or if they're a veteran, they can come in and apply for the Smart Heroes program. And it is a 7-week intense training. They come in Tuesday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 2:30. And basically that supplements as their whole first year of their apprenticeship. The other thing it'll do is it gives them the ability to move around the country. So we're real close to Fort Lewis, so it's real to JBLM, so it's real easy to get people from this area. But we're still finding that there's some people that may be stationed at JBLM or from other areas, and they want to go back to whatever they called home. So they could be from Texas, they could be from Florida, Minnesota, who knows where they're from. The Smart Heroes program is set up so that when they're done, we'll contact the apprenticeship coordinator and the local back in wherever they call home and set it up so that they can get direct entry into their apprenticeship with 1 year of credit and the opportunity to go to work.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, so let's say I'm not military and I've graduated high school and I've worked retail for a couple years and I'm stumbling around trying to figure out how to get on a career path. How can the program help me?
A couple of different ways. So we have our website, www.smjatc.org. Okay. Right there you can go into apprenticeship, how to apply, click on, put an application in. It asks you for a couple of simple things. It asks you for your driver's license, a copy of proof of insurance, because we've got to make sure that you can actually drive back and forth. And it'll ask you to upload a copy of your high school transcripts or a copy of your GED. From there, there's some testing that goes through, and then there'll be an interview that happens. Typically, that happens once a year to come in through the typical application process. Another way is you can go to work inside the trade as one of our classified workers, whether it is as a residential inductee, as a architectural installer, or as a material handler. We can give you a list of contractors that you can go to, get a job working as one of those, and each one of those has a different path that can bring you into the apprenticeship. They're kind of good ways for the contractors to kind of test you out, to make sure that you have one level of commitment that you're willing to stick with it for 5 years. that you have the aptitude to show up on time, work hard, follow instructions. That's really all we need. And so there's a couple of different ways to get in. A lot of those are they write letters and ask the committee to let you in. We'll accept the material handlers and those kind of classifieds in certain times. Another one is if you go to one of the trade schools. So we have what we call an articulation agreement with Bates Technical College. If you go to Bates Technical College, you can get direct entry in as a second-year apprentice here into the sheet metal apprenticeship. Now, if you go to Clover Park, if you go to Bates or Perry Tech for their HVAC refrigeration program, that does the same thing. You can get a year's credit and come in as an HVAC service technician.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so we've talked about how to get in the program.
Yep.
And now we're in the program. What's the next 5 years of my life going to look like?
Right now, a lot of driving. So no, the next 5 years. So the way it works inside our apprenticeship, it's learn as you earn, as they call it. So you're going to spend 5 weeks a year here in our facility in DuPont or in Everett, and you're going to be learning the classroom side of it. I say the classroom, we may be sitting in a classroom in a lecture hall, or you may be out in the fabrication shop learning how the actual hand skills that go with it. So it equates to about 200 hours a year that you're here at the facility. The rest of the time you're out working for a contractor making a living. So the way I like to look at it is either we will explain a concept to you and then you take it to the field to practice it, or if you've been taught something out in the field, we explain why it works that way. We give you the nuts and bolts behind how it does that. Every week when they come in, they have a different topic that we're going to cover, and the expectation is each one's going to build on itself. So they'll come in their first year, and I'll talk to mostly the sheet metal side right now. In their first year, they're going to come in and they're going to learn some basic hand skills, some basic ductwork terminology, things like that, and they're going to learn some hand drafting. By the time they get late into their third year, they're going to start working on things that are using AutoCAD. They're going to start learning how to, by that time, they should be able to certify as a welder. They should be able to start learning how to move things into a CNC plasma table. By the time they get to their fourth year, they're going to be taking AutoCAD, moving it into Revit and other kind of drawing programs that are actively being used out in the field, and starting to get to that point. Everything kind of progresses to build them into a journeyman.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So give me an idea of income potential. If I'm going to college, I'm going to walk out of there with $100,000 in student loans after spending 4 years there. You're talking about a program where I'm earning as I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
So here in the Seattle area, what kind of potential are we talking about?
So a first-year apprentice is going to come in, starting wage right around $25 an hour that they see on their check.
Wow.
And then on top of that, they'll have 2 pensions. They don't get a 401k until they get into their second year, once they get past their probationary period. Okay. But as a second-year apprentice, you get full medical dental, you get 2 pensions, 401k, and then your wage on top of that. And that continues all the way through your apprenticeship. The first year you're stuck at, I say stuck, you're at 45%, so you're making that 25, I think it's 25.15 an hour, and then all your benefits and all of that stuff for 1 year. Once you make it past that probationary period, there is a 5% pay increase every 6 months as long as you meet the minimum criteria. So the minimum criteria is you have to work, I believe it's 720 hours in that 6-month period. You have to pass all of your classes with a minimum 75% passing grade. And there's a few other little criteria. You got to turn in some job reports and things like that, and you can earn your pay raise. So at the end of it, if you do the math on it, at the end of it, you're going to finish off at 85%. And your very last pay increase is going to be a 15% pay increase, which gets you to journeyman wage, which currently is right around, I think, $56 an hour.
$56 an hour?
Correct. And you do this with no debt. This is stuff that you'll be working in the trade to help pay off.
Wow.
The workers, as you're working, the employers are paying on your behalf. a certain amount into the training fund to help pay for the building, help pay for the instructors, help pay for all the material that we use. It's basically it's a self-funded project.
Okay, so that cost doesn't come out of my paycheck. It gets buried in the cost of building the building.
Correct.
So I'm a guy and I'm going to build this big building for $10 million or $100 million, and I need so many apprentices and so many journeymen. And
it's not necessarily even the building. So
Okay.
It's going to be a cost burdened by the contractors
Okay.
that are hiring all of the people, all
Okay.
the members. And obviously they have to spread those costs around to however they can get reimbursed for those costs. So yes, ultimately the building that's being built pays for it, but it's being paid for by the contractors
Wow.
on the members' behalf.
Okay. And so having a training program ensures that you've got an up and coming crop of new candidates to keep filling these positions.
You have to. Where it sits right now, where everybody's talked over the last 5-10 years about the fact that there's a labor cliff coming up with the baby boomers moving out, they're retiring. We always have to be building new people. If you don't do it, the trades will die.
Okay.
Right? I mean, there's a certain amount of skill that has to be there. Not everything can be done by a computer. So we've been doing it this way for I don't even know how many years. My grandpa did it. My dad did it. I am a third generation sheet metal worker. They all apprenticed, and I did the same thing. And it's something you have to carry on.
So my parents were blue collar workers. My dad worked at NASA for years in the wind tunnels, and he always had that idea that someday my kids are going to be management. My kids are going to make it out of the blue collar world, and they're going to be mid-level managers. And I think my parents' generation still has that mindset, maybe to the point where our economy's gone too far. We've got a good percentage of kids graduating from high school are running off to college, and then they're struggling to get a job. Why should those parents reconsider and think about encouraging their kids to go into the trades?
The easiest way I can describe that is you need to be able to do, your career should be something that makes you get out of bed in the morning. So I preach this to the apprentices. So if you have to hit the snooze button 3 times before you go to work, you need to realize, you need to reflect, are you at the right job? You not saying you have to get out of bed to do cartwheels, right? And be that excited, but going to work should not be something you dread doing. And if it's what we find is most of the apprentices that are good fits, they truly enjoy what they're doing. And it may not have been, they may not get that after going to a white collar job. A lot of people, they enjoy working with their hands. They enjoy being outside. They enjoy weather. They enjoy all of those things that the trades have to offer that a white collar job may not have to offer. And then there's a ton of room for growth as you're going through. I mean, so you start off as an apprentice, you become a journeyman, you can work your way to a foreman, superintendent. My path, I started off as an apprentice and worked my way up into a foreman position, into a superintendent position, went to a management position at one of the major contractors around here, and then decided to take an instructor position and start giving back, and have continued working my way through. A lot of the mechanical contractors, if you start looking at who owns them, who runs them, it's somebody that came from the trades. It may not be somebody that came directly through college, through business, stuff like that. A lot of the smaller contractors, they're going to be somebody that came out of the trenches. They did the work. They know how. They may not understand the whole business side. They learn that. There's other classes for it. Right. But there is, a construction worker is not what a construction worker used to be, for lack of a better way to say that.
Okay. So one of the things you were talking about was having a reason to get up in the morning. Mm-hmm. To me, that goes back to purpose, having a purpose in life. And one of the things I experienced as a veteran transitioning out is it's difficult to transition to civilian life and to find a purpose. Mm-hmm. Have you seen this training opportunity help veterans find their purpose after they transition out of the military?
I think so. There's, the Smart Heroes, we've been doing the program for about 2.5 years, and we're starting to see a lot of them that have, joined our local and stayed here are coming back into classes, and we're seeing them cycle through. And there's been a handful that said that, it kind of changed their life. It gave them, more than they ever thought they were going to have. And, they're genuinely excited to do what they're doing. They're in the military. They were very accustomed to being outside, being outdoors, doing things like that. And this allows them to do that exact same thing and get paid probably a better wage than that they were. And, a whole nother retirement on top of whatever the military had to offer them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Any final words you'd like to share about the program?
I don't know if I have any more right now.
Is that it? Okay.
I think that might be it.
Thank you so much for hosting my visit. I really appreciate the tour of the facility and you giving us the overview, and I look forward to sending more students your way. So thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm Douglas Upset. I go by DJ.
DJ.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks so much for helping me understand this program.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So how long have you been in the program? How far along are you?
I'm currently about to be technically a third-year apprentice. I've been working for about 9 months, sorry. The Smart Hero program, they come in as a second year after you do their 7 or 6 week class. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty good so far. I love it.
Okay. And before we started filming, you were telling me that you got out of the military and you had gotten another job that you were working at.
Yeah, so I got out in August of 2017. I got a job at Satina because I've always wanted to do welding and stuff. So I got a job there welding, just shop welding. We welded aluminum bumpers and stuff, but I was only making $15 an hour. I was living paycheck to paycheck, living with 3 or 4 roommates. I was just really, really struggling. Then I found out my girlfriend's dad at the time is a foreman in the local 66, and he told me about the Smart Heroes program. So the next day I went and came and talked to Kevin, and Kevin helped me through the whole process. And then within 2 days I quit my job and I was interviewed and in the program starting in the next class.
Wow. Okay.
So it was quite the journey for a couple of days.
So I mean, I'm not a very good welder, but I understand that welding aluminum is pretty difficult. So were you TIG welding at the time?
I did TIG and stick.
Stick? Okay.
Oh, not stick. Wire feed. Sorry.
Okay.
So MIG.
MIG, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got some pretty decent skill, and even with that skill,
I was still only
you're
making
still only making
$15 an hour.
$15 an hour.
Yeah, living paycheck to paycheck. It wasn't great.
Okay.
So
what about now? How's your life different now after starting the program?
Amazing. I'm really taking advantage of the GI Bill. It's extra help. I pay all my bills with just my GI Bill every month, and then the money I get from the union is just my play money, which is how I've been saving money. Like I just bought a 97 12-valve Cummins, which has been my dream truck, and I've wanted it for a really long time, and I didn't have to pull a loan out or anything. Over the time I've just been saving money, and I still have a lot in my savings, so if I do ever get unemployed or anything, I'll be fine. And work is going crazy right now. I've worked a lot of overtime this year.
So tell me about the trade industry. Are there times where work is really good and times when work is slow? Do you need to have a savings reserve?
I have yet to been laid off. I did my 6 months transfer. So every 6 months when you're an apprentice, you get transferred up till 60%. So I just did my last transfer to Holiday Parks, and work's been like booming. We have so many cranes everywhere. It's crazy. I worked overtime for probably like 3 months straight of maybe 50, 60 hours a week, and those checks are awesome. It's good. Usually we did 5 10s and then 8 on Saturday. So you were doing a lot. And I was welding grease duct as an apprentice because no one else on my crew knew how to really weld. So it was my journeyman fire watching for me while I was welding. Mm-hmm. And it was awesome. I've loved every bit of it so far.
Okay.
So now I'm up in Bellevue working on a hospital, just doing hanging duct. It just started, so we're doing an A section. It's broken up to 16 sections, so it's A, B, C, D, and E, and so forth. And we're anywhere from doing hanging straps, hanging duct, to finishing, doing cans, flex, everything.
Wow. Okay.
So I've learned a lot in the past 9 months of doing it.
So are there certifications that go with some of these steps?
Well, for the local 66, they offer night classes that you can come to, and you can do your certs, like your welding certs, and they do like CAD and a bunch of stuff that you can sign up for, and they're all free to you. It's free education. Therefore, if you went to college, you'd be paying for everything. Apprenticeship, I feel like they're paying you to learn their services instead of you having to pay to learn. Like, if I were to go to college right now, I'd be using that GI Bill just to be paying for a house and doing whatever. I wouldn't be actually making money to go to school. Apprenticeships are so like underwritten. It's crazy. I think more people should be getting into the trades.
Okay.
Apprenticeship's probably like the best thing to do once you get out of high school, or if you try college and end up not liking it. I've worked with multiple apprentices that have went to college and then like, I wish I never did that. I have $40,000 in student loans now, but now I'm trying to do an apprenticeship just to pay it off.
Wow.
So it's crazy.
What about a sense of purpose? One of the things I struggled with when I left the military was finding a new sense of purpose. You go from this purpose-driven lifestyle where you always have a goal to achieve.
Well, my goal, I want to be a young foreman. I want to run work. I want to have a great crew. Morale is really big for me. So I want to be able to like run a job site, from A to B, and just have my guys happy. Make sure they go home safe every day, and that's my goal right now. So to kind of fulfill those steps, I have to finish my apprenticeship, become a successful journeyman, learn every aspect of the trade to be able to become a foreman. That's my goal, so I'm just trying to be the best apprentice I can be right now.
So do you feel like this program has given you a new sense of purpose after transitioning?
Oh yeah, and the camaraderie is crazy. It's just like the military. You're working with a bunch of guys that you're always having fun with. You can joke around, and when work is work, you come into work and then you just have fun and work. I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Okay.
But you're always having fun, but it's still like serious at the same time.
That's fantastic. So how would life be different if you had gone off to college and gotten a 4-year degree instead of gone through this program?
I would still have the sense of loss. I'd be lost, I guess. Like most people I know in college, they don't have a direction. They're just in school, and then when they get out of school, they're like, okay, now what? I still have to go and find a job. Like the apprenticeship, they're like, okay, you're signed up, we're going to find you a job for you. Like colleges, I feel like they don't do that. Once you finish your 4-year degree, you're like, okay, you're out the door now.
Wow.
So that's just my personal view of it. It could be wrong, but that's just what I believe in. Sure.
So tell me this, if you were talking to a guy who's getting ready to get out of the military, what would you say to him?
I have two of my soldiers already are signed up in the program. One's in the Smart Hero class as we speak right now, TJ. And then Gustavo, that's in my class with me, when he got out, he's like, dude, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was like, here's Kevin's number, go talk to him. And the next day he went to talk to Kevin and got all squared away. I texted Kevin, I was like, hey, my old soldier TJ is coming in to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. And Kevin took him under shoulder, and he's loving it. He's be able to support his family and everything.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So now I'm actually in the same class with him in the apprenticeship, and it's awesome.
So you're a couple years through the apprenticeship.
Yep.
What happens at the end of 5 years?
You journey out, you take a test, and then you can become a journeyman. I haven't taken that step so I can tell you how it is firsthand, but I'm excited for it.
Okay. So switching from an apprentice to a journeyman, is there, socially amongst the crew, is there more respect that comes? Is it like making sergeant in the military?
Like, even when you're an apprentice, you don't really get disrespected at all. Like, when you're on the crew, everyone's a part of the crew. Like, it's a little family. Like, everyone treats you. They know that you don't have as much skills as they do, so a journeyman's job is to teach you. Because when they retire, it's us that's going to be funding their retirement. So they want us to know as much as we can so we can keep the trade going when they retire and eventually ease their way out. So their job is to basically, as we're coming in, give us all the knowledge that they know, so that by the time they're ready to retire, they know confidently that we can run the work.
Okay. How do you feel about union dues? Should I be looking at union jobs or non-union jobs?
$20 a month. That's what comes out of my account for union dues. Everyone's like, oh, union dues are so much. I'm like, it's $20. The benefits you get, you can't even buy off the market. We literally get 20 free massages a year, and chiropractor visits and everything. And it's so crazy how good the benefits are versus non-union. I would never suggest working non-union over union. I probably won't ever go to non-union.
It sounded like just your hourly wage difference. You can make up that $20 in like 2 hours.
Lay off 4 Big Macs a month and you got it. Like it's easy as that. Stop eating out twice a month and that's your union dues for the month.
Wow.
It's not bad at all.
Okay.
Like the benefits versus the union dues are crazy. I'd gladly pay $20.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time, GJ. I really appreciate the interview.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Any other final words? Anything else you want to share?
And just if you have a sense of like if you're lost getting out of the military, the Smart Heroes is definitely the way to go. I would highly suggest it to anyone, especially being like 3 years through my apprenticeship. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life, honestly. It's given me my sense of direction and what I want to do for my career. I know people like foremen that are retiring that are set for the rest of their life just because of this career, and they've had so much fun along the way.
Wow.
So that's what I would suggest, and put money in your 401k early while you're young.
Okay. That's awesome. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
My name is Dale Schreckengast. I've been in the program for over a year now. Actually, this month is my year month, and it's been nothing but good for me. So I graduated about October 19th, I believe, of 2018, and ever since the end of Smart Heroes, I've been employed, haven't had any issues. I've worked architectural and HVAC, and they kind of flip-flop you every 6 months, so you get the feeling of everything, and it's awesome.
Okay. So tell me, what was your job in the military? What did you do before this?
I was architecture. I was a sheet metal for aircraft, so that's why I kind of got into this field, is because I like working with metal, and I was very good at it, and it's something that I wanted to do as a career, but I wanted to get out of the Army at the same time, so it's similar, so it's good.
Okay. Well, what kind of aircraft did you work on?
I worked on all of them. I had sheet metal, anything sheet metal wise, so structural or anything like bullet holes or cracks or anything, just patching them up.
Okay. I flew Blackhawks when I was in the Army.
Really?
So I'm assuming you've done some work on Blackhawks?
Oh, yeah. That's most of my work I've done.
Oh, okay.
Chinooks and Blackhawks and a little bit of Apaches. So.
Okay. You deployed?
No. My unit's deployed in Iraq right now. I'm still a reservist, so I went from active duty to the reserves. And they're very accommodating for those who are still in the reserves. Like my buddy, who I actually got into the Smart Heroes program after me, and he's in Iraq right now, and they're very, you've got a job when you come back. You know, it's like they're very accommodating to those who serve. So.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, what kind of work do you do on a daily basis?
Well, right now I'm in HVAC. Like I said, I was in architectural the first 6 months I was in, and it's pretty much outside doing trim work and windows and all that kind of stuff, roofing, metal roofing, and that was really cool. You get to learn how to make things look nice and appealing to the eyes, all the architectural stuff. It is outside a lot, but if you like working outside, it's no big deal. Right now, HVAC, it's a little bit easier, a lot more math, but it's pretty fun, hanging up ducts all day, and square duct, round duct, yeah, pretty much it. So.
Okay. How's your transition gone from military into this apprenticeship? Did the military pay for your last couple weeks of active duty to use that towards your apprenticeship time? Or?
They let you. I had a couple people in my class who were actually active duty at the time, and they let them take the course before getting out. So they were still getting paid as they were taking the course. Me, I got out of active duty before I took the course. I was a reservist. So you do not get paid as a reservist, but active duty, it's a great program to get into because they'll pay for it, and it's a great program. So,
what would your life be like if you hadn't gone into this program?
I'd be pretty much lost and confused on what to do as a career. And in the Army, it's good as a career, but I wanted something in the civilian world that I'd be interested in, that I can take further and learn, and I wanted to go to school, but I didn't want to sit in class all day. So right now I'm getting paid by the GI Bill, and just to go to work. It's I don't have to sit in the classroom. I get to play with my hands all day and build metal and work with metal. So.
Okay. What's your retirement outlook like? You're in the reserves, or what's your plan?
Well, the plan is to get out of the reserves. I want to put all my time and effort into this. It's got a great retirement. Medical is outstanding. I think I was paying about $200 a month just for myself, the job I had before this, and right now I'm only paying maybe $10 a week for myself and my newborn kid. So it's definitely good, and the medical's better than what I had. Retirement, I think I'm just now putting into it, but I know a lot of people who say it's awesome. I'm working with a guy who is about to retire, and he's got close to $1 million, I believe. He was explaining and trying to show me like what to do to kind of save up for retirement at a young age. So
it sounds like there's some mentoring that goes on besides just the work. It sounds like somebody's trying to take you under their wing and show you how to retire with $1 million.
When I was working non-union in Florida, they didn't have many unions, and it was like they treated you like crap. And I was so worried about getting into construction again. And ever since I came into this Smart Heroes and working with sheet metal, it's like every journeyman it takes you under your wing, and it's like a family, it's like a brotherhood. And that's what I liked about the Army. And coming here, it's the same exact thing. So it's like they'll treat you like you're all family. No one treats you like crap. So.
Any final words you'd want to share with our audience?
I'd just like to say that it's probably the best decision I've ever made in my life. It's definitely a good career, good money, good benefits. If you want a family, it's great benefits for your family, good medical, everything. And I don't regret one thing about this whole program. So, and get in, get out after maybe 2 months, start off second year apprentice, making good money right off the start. It's definitely a good program. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Yep, no problem. Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this amazing episode of the Veterans Prosper podcast. Check out the links below. Click on the link to the Western Washington Sheet Metal JATC, or look for other programs in your area. There are union programs all across the country in many areas, including electrical, HVAC, sheet metal, welding, construction. Check out those programs in your area. Figure out how to get on the path to your next career without taking on a boatload of debt. And if you enjoyed this program, please subscribe and share with your friends so that we can keep producing content like this. Have a great week. Happy Veterans Day.